Told you not to get pistachio.
How's yours?
Never go wrong on vanilla.
Don't move, don't move. Back my brother. Just walk over the sidewalk and that's all there is to it. Well, I don't know why he did that.
Phantom Lady from 1944 was an excellent crime film with murder, mystery, a strange missing woman, and some pretty memorable characters. But underneath all of this was a surprisingly dark and twisted little story. So I'm going to take a look at this one. I'll give a summary of the film, spoiler-free, and then offer some thoughts. Well, the film opens up with the character of Scott Henderson, played by Alan Curtis. He's kind of sitting despondent at a bar. Now he gets friendly with a random lady that he meets there and mentions that he has a couple of tickets for a Broadway show. So she agrees to go see the show with him on the condition that they don't really discuss anything personal, including their names, which Scott agrees to. They watch the show, and one of the stars seems really annoyed that this mysterious woman in the audience has a hat identical to her own. Man, don't you hate when that happens? Well, at the end of the evening, Scott and this mysterious woman part ways, and Scott heads home. However, when Scott arrives back at his place, we have three detectives waiting for him. They're led by Inspector Burgess, who's played by actor Thomas Gomez. Apparently, Scott's wife had been strangled to death with one of his own neckties. And they check his alibis, and no one seems to remember seeing him with this mysterious woman, aka the Phantom Lady. And because of this, he becomes the main suspect in the murder and is charged, found guilty, and sent to jail. Now, Scott's secretary, Carol Richmond, who's played by lovely actress Ella Raines, who we can tell kind of early on is really crazy for the guy, goes to work investigating what's going on with Scott to find the real killer. So the first one she tracks down is a shady bartender, and she follows him back home and is about to corner him when he accidentally gets hit by a car. So Inspector Burgess also seems to think that Scott is innocent and unofficially assists her with the investigation and gives her the lead to question the character Cliff, played by Elisha Cook Jr., who always seems to play the mousy Patsy type characters in old films like this. But anyhow, Cliff was the orchestra drummer at the Broadway show that Scott attended. And with a little bit of seduction, Carol is able to get him to follow her after the show. He brings her back to his place, kind of semi-drunken it would seem, and reveals that he took a bribe for his false testimony. But when he learns that Carol has information about him, he starts to get suspicious. Well, Carol flees, but then shortly after, the real killer arrives to confront Cliff. This is Jack Marlowe, played by an ice-cold Franchot Tone, who stylistically takes care of him. Well, Carol goes to visit Scott in lockup, and although we see that she's very openly affectionate towards him, he doesn't seem to notice, but he is happy to see the arrival of his old friend Jack. Yes, that's the character we now know is a cold-blooded killer. But Carol and Scott don't know this, and Jack just kind of plays along with their investigation, kind of keeping undercover and where he can, secretly foiling their investigation. Well, Carol is getting closer and tracks down the hat maker, and from one of the employees at this place finds out that, yes, they copied this hat for a regular customer, and they provide the name and address of the Phantom Lady that they are looking for. But can Carol figure out who the real killer is and free Scott? And can she do this without risking her own life? Well, it's an exciting conclusion, and I won't spoil it, so I will say no more. Go and check this one out for yourself. Phantom Lady was directed by Robert Siodmak, and I found this to be a very entertaining bit of noir with some great twists and turns. And yes, I love seeing Ella Raines again, and I think she was really fantastic here as this secretary-turned-investigator, going so far as to dress up all hot to try to get information from one of the characters like Cliff. Now, she loves Scott and seems willing to do just about anything to get the guy free. And seeing her go along with Franchot Tone's Jack character, oblivious to the fact that he is this nasty murderer that everyone is after, I thought really built some wonderful suspense in the movie whenever the two of them would be alone together. Now, the format here, I know it's been used a bazillion times. It's the common person out to solve a crime by themselves. I just enjoy it. And there's something about it when there's a non-law enforcement person who sets out to shady places to attempt to solve the crime themselves. I just like it. Feels like there's more of a sense of uncertainty and danger involved, especially when the inspector is sort of there helping out, but most of this is just on Carol herself. I thought that the mystery in this film unfolded well, as I was genuinely curious. Who was the Phantom Lady? I mean, maybe Scott was kind of just like seeing a ghost, or more believably, if people were paid off to lie about her for some reason. Now, I have to say this. I recently caught Fran Chautone in the film Fast and Furious from 1939, and I reviewed it on this channel. And it was interesting because in that film, Fran Cho is a considerably lighter character, cracking jokes. He's kind of this cad solving crimes here and there. But in this film, as this strangler, he's just downright sinister. Now, Siodmak would seemingly focus on the character's hands through the film, kind of lighting them up, thematically showing that these were his instruments of murder. And as far as I'm concerned, legitimately depicted him as this very quiet, creepy killer. It was excellent and genuinely unsettling, seeing him alone with Carol and not knowing what his plan was or when he would strike. Another observation is that this film is frequently very visually gorgeous. Credit to cinematographer Elwood Brendel for some gorgeous city footage. I mean, some of the scenery, like Carol at night at the train station, it almost looks a little unreal. And I get it, and I loved it. It doesn't look completely like you're in the real world. It looks almost like paintings. But I just love that look and the quality. It's almost dreamlike at times. And the prison scenes, too, really caught my eye with that glowing light coming through the barred windows. It's like seeing some of John Alton's work with that careful, gorgeous usage of black and white. Man, scenes like this, it's what draw me into old noir of this era. It all just looks so good. Thomas Gomez as Inspector Burgess was convincing, and I wish he had been in the film maybe just a little bit longer. Another great scene from the film is when they're questioning Scott near the beginning of the film. Watch how the investigators close in as the camera draws us in closer as well, accusingly. Now, thinking about the film, if I'm fair in the assessment, I did think that Alan Curtis as Scott, he was decent here, but seemed to be kind of blasé about everything while he's in lockup. You'd think maybe he'd be a little more frustrated, a little more nervous or alarmed about the death of his wife or his wrongful imprisonment, but he just seems to kind of mope around in the prison. So, I don't know, that wasn't completely believable to me. And how could he be so blind as to not notice the affections of someone as gorgeous as Ella Raines? But whatever. Phantom Lady was a pretty wild little film, and I think what made it work so well for me is how it kept changing things up as you would go. What started out as a simple murder mystery turned into something much darker and stranger, and I thought Ella Raines really carried the lead role well as this secretary driven to help free her boss from lockup. It may get a little pulpy and a little over the top toward the end, but that's part of the fun to me. It's atmospheric, it's weird, and it's an excellent 1940s crime classic, and I think it's one worth checking out.